Welcome to Market Movers, your premier business and economy show where we dissect the forces shaping the markets and analyze the strategies that are driving growth. As usual, we're not going to be focused on just macroeconomic numbers and trends, but we're going to be about a vision that could redefine Nigeria's economic landscape. Can you imagine a future where agriculture transcends traditional boundaries, where innovation meets with soil and prosperity grows in fields once fallow? This is the promise of Nigeria's special agro-industrial processing zones. This transformative initiative is supposed to revolutionize the agricultural sector, but the big question that we want to unravel in this program today is whether it is actually living to these expectations. So I invite you to join us as we engage with our expert analysts to uncover the nuances of this program, its impact on the economy, and the opportunities it presents for investors and communities alike. Stay tuned as we explore the potentials of special agro-industrial processing zone to redefine Nigeria's path to prosperity. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. Thank you for remaining with us. I have with me Dr. Godfrey Ajayi Sunday, an agri expert, joining me to look at this special agro-industrial processing zone. And we're also going to be having Dr. Peter, who is agri value chain expert, also joining us to look at this special program of the government and how it has been able to change the narrative of agri sector, which is the highest employer in Nigeria. Dr. Godfrey, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osai-Lume. I'm happy to be here this afternoon.
Thank you. Now, I want to begin with you because, of course, I know you have been working in the agri space. You've been doing a lot of work there. I understand you also have a farm, a rice farm, and all that. But let me start with this pointer, which is how have we been able to adopt best practices? Before we go deeply, because one of the key objectives of the special agro-industrial processing zones, in my thinking, should have been that it will have helped to revolutionize the agri sector by introducing best practices in the sector. Are you seeing an increased adoption of best practices in the agri business value chain in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Mr. Osai-Lume. Agric is life. Agric is living. Without agric, no matter how much you fast, you can fast like 40 days, 40 nights, you must make it with food. So food now becomes the simple most important facet of our living. Okay, so you will agree with me that dollar is coming down because food inflation is still at about 40%. The price of food has still not come down. So we cannot do without agric. And if once we're able to do agric the way it ought to be done and we're able to feed ourselves, then we'll be able to think well. So whether we are practicing the real big deal is a subject that needs to be discussed another day. Because again, just as you have SAPZ, that's the Special Agro Processing Zone program, being funded by African Development Bank, IFA, that's International Fund for Agricultural Development, and also the Islamic Bank. These are the tripartite development organizations that are funding the project.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to come back to you on that funding partners, Dr. Godfrey. But before then, let me quickly bring in Dr. Peter. Dr. Peter, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you for having me, Mr. Osai.
Yeah. So, Dr. Peter, I was just asking Dr. Godfrey, about the fact that the the special agri-industrial processing zones ought to have revolutionized our agri space by encouraging and promoting increased adoption of best practices. From your standpoint, do you think that we are, as a people, as a country, that we are making progress towards adopting best practices in our agri space?
Yes, thank you very much once more for having me. And to talk to the question, yes, please, we have. Nigeria is not where it used to be, say, 10 years ago. We've made progress. Production has increased tremendously. Talking to the program specifically, yes, there's been a level of adoption of technology. I was privileged to be part of the team that did the baseline and also looked through the profiling. And I can tell you that given the component of the project as it is, the program, technology is being adopted and best practices is being adopted. Let me give you an example. The program, as it were now, had taken time out to make sure that the people that will be targeted, people that are the supposed beneficiaries, yes, that adequate profiling will be done, which has already been done in some states, in FCT, for instance. And I can tell you that it was proper. There was proper capture. It was not like other programs where they are elite capture here and there, but that the core targets were the ones that were captured and will benefit from the program. And we could do this using technology. So yes, technology is being adopted. The best practices is being adopted as well. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Dr. Godfrey, are you there? Dr. Godfrey, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I'm with you, Mr. Stein.
Okay, so I want to quickly come back to you. You were talking about the funding. Can you give us a sense of, what the funding package or the total funding budget for these agri-processing zones has been? Because we must look at the Naira and Kobo in it to be able to also ascertain whether the program is actually living to its expectation. What do you think is the budget size, and who are the funding partners? Are they meeting up with the provisions in the program funding?
Okay, so is that directed at me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Osai. Thank you, Dr. Peter. Like I've mentioned earlier, there are three critical funding partners. Talking about International Fund for Agricultural Development, talking about African Development Bank, and talking about the Islamic Bank. Okay, so the budget is huge. I don't have the exact figure now, but I know that quite a number of states are supposed to participate in the program, and profiling has been done, the writing has been done. This is not the first time we're having a program like this. Okay, from the session of Nigeria, you have had International Fund for Agricultural Development coming in different side of the value chain. You had VCDB, Value Chain Development Program. You have ATAPS. ATAPS was completely done by AFDB. So program come, program go, but ability for us to continue talking about sustainability, I think, is where the major headache is. It's not the first big budget program that is being implemented in Nigeria. So my prayer is that we are...
Okay, Dr. Godfrey, your network is a bit fluctuating. Dr. Peter, are you there? Okay, Dr. Godfrey is coming back. Dr. Peter, are you
there? Yes, please, I'm here.
Okay, so I was talking with Dr. Godfrey about the funding size for this program. From my calculation, I think is approximately $1 billion US dollar total size, because there are different funding partners, like Dr. Godfrey is pointing out. We have the the ADBN, African Development Bank, funding to the tune of over $500 million, and we have Islamic Bank as well, funding over $150 million, and some other IFAD as well, funding a certain component. All this put together can aggregate to close to $1 billion US. From your standpoint, do you think that money, from what you have been able to do with the program, do you think the money is being used judiciously?
Thank you very much. Yes, yeah, and I saw that African Development Bank has marked about $520 million and those funds. Yes, currently, yes, I can say with what I know that every stages that is involved is being followed gradually. The core, just like Dr. Godfrey did mention, is we look at sustainability. When you implement a project, that after that there should be sustainability. From what I know, from my own standpoint right now, yes, it's being used judiciously, and I believe if they continue in this space, yes, the proper thing is being done, and it will be the targeted impact will be well felt. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so let me come back to Dr. Godfrey. Dr. Godfrey, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Sai-Ilume.
Okay, we'll be going on a short break very quickly to take the news roundup. But before then, I want you to quickly give us an overview of what this program is expected to have achieved for Nigeria and Nigerians.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Sai-Ilume. Just like every other development projects that have been implemented in Nigeria, some of the objectives include agro-industrialization. Okay, so you agree with me that the industrialization of our agri sector is very, very critical. So they're going to be looking at agro-industrialization. Well, they will also look at agri productivity. How are we able to produce more from what we have already? Then we talk about market access. So incidentally, your program is talking about the market mover. So
yes,
they're going to be looking at how to access the market. Then, of course, employment creation is also part of what they're going to be doing. Then gender, most development programs these days talk about how to do gender inclusion, how to bring women into the equation. Then, of course, you look at value addition, and ultimately, we will look at food security, how to ensure that we are food secure at the end of the day. So these are some of the objectives that SAPZ is going to be looking at, and it's going to be in some few states, including FCT, Niger, and some other states, just as other development program has been able to present themselves.
Wonderful. Dr. Peter, I want you to give us a sense of, you were talking about technology, being adopted, in the SAPZ program, and you have pointed out, just like Dr. Godfrey has pointed out, the states in which these different hubs ought to be established. Can you give us a sense of how this program is intended to transform the agricultural landscape, given the level of work we have done with them?
Okay, yes, talking to aside productivity that it is and every other, one key thing, let me talk to PICO now in Abuja, that it's going to really address. In PICO, they've been able to build a grazing reserve that has been fenced. It's a place properly designed for cattle rearers, because it has a component of both the crop farmers and stock farmers. So these are two major components. So going forward, if properly implemented as it is, one issue that will be settled maybe head on or in the long run will be header clashes. Those clashes we have between farmers and livestock farmers will be addressed. Then the crops captured, I believe we'll mention that later, the crops captured are crops that are very important to this particular area, to the farmers, and also to the livestock farmers. So I believe the program, as it's designed now, will address one core issue of insecurity, or will it, in the light of farmers and livestock farmers having a little clash in space. Yes. Then number two, of course, productivity. will be increased, because now these farmers can now confidently go to their farm and continue to produce, and they are certain that whatever they have planted will not be destroyed by animals grazing around, because it's carved out for them. Then these reserves have automated irrigation system that have been that is installed for them, right? So that's technology coming in. And in the point of data capture, of course, we use technology to capture data and also have these beneficiaries real time and can trace them anytime, any day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peter. I would like to hold you there. Let's go quickly for a short break. We'll take the news roundup and we'll be back to you to look at extensively the impact of this program in our agricultural landscape. We'll be right back after the short break.
The Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria highlights the rapid appreciation of the Nigerian naira against the US dollar. President of the association, Aminu Gwadabe, notes BDC operators now buy at 980 naira per $1 and sell at 1,000.
Thank you for staying with us on Market Movers on this beautiful day. I see here with me, joining from Gwagwalada, Dr. Peter Daniel from the University of Abuja, is an agri-value chain expert. And we also have Dr. Godfrey Ajayi Sunday, an agric expert and MDG Consulting, joining us from his conference venue somewhere here in Abuja. Gentlemen, thank you very much for remaining with us on Market Movers. Let me bring in Dr. Peter at this point. Dr. Peter, you referred to... Dr. Peter, can you hear me? Dr. Peter?
Yes, I can, please. I can.
Okay, great. So
yes, I can.
You referred to a community in the course of your analysis a short while ago. Can you give us a larger sense of the impact of this program, the intended impact of this program on the communities where they are supposed to be established?
Okay, thank you very much again for having me. Okay, let me talk to, say, Paiko Kore, right? One, generally, a side increase in productivity, which is we always see when it comes to agri programs, there will be job creation, right? There will be job creations, and there will be value addition. So let me pick a particular commodity and look. If we pick groundnut, for instance, I know from research, the groundnut leaves sometimes sell more than the groundnut seed and the husk itself. So that is a whole commodity now. So if we pick that commodity now in that locale and take it as an enterprise, it means that we are going to create, the program is going to create jobs for the producers, those farmers, people that will be farming groundnut. One, it will create jobs for, it will bring more people in the value chain, those that will sell the leaves, right? Because they will have to add a level of value to the leaves before they sell, right? Then it will create jobs for those that will sell the husk, right? Then there's also money for from the seed. So you said that you use the seed to take, like we do normally in Nigeria, maybe take gari, right? You process and take gari, or now at industrial level, oil. So this is a whole value chain that the program intends to develop. So that is a whole lot of job created. From in 2022, statistics shows that about 40 to 50% of Nigerian youths are unemployed. And in this particular locale, I'm looking at youths, a whole lot of youths that you only see them come out more during election to come and vote and all, right? There's usually complaints around nothing to do. And if you keep producing, particularly in the agri space, if you keep producing during the peak of a production season, you most times don't get the best, because there's usually glut in the market. Once there is no value added, right, the value for what you have produced most times you will not get the best from it, and it will just be the same cycle year in, year out. So if the program gets this component of value addition right, then I am certain that, of course, jobs that will be created will be sustained, and it will encourage others that are not doing anything right now to come into the space and produce granules, right, and produce more.
Wonderful. Thank you for that analysis. Let me come to Dr. Godfrey, because Dr. Godfrey, I stumbled into a research by Public Service International that seemed to suggest that most of these zones, all right, because some of the critical incentivization that goes into these zones is tax rebate, and there is this argument that most of these companies that are operating within these zones, like Dr. Peter is trying to let us know, they were supposed to create jobs within those locales. But what we are seeing is a situation where these companies also come in with their experts, so to speak, coming with people from their country to take over this job. From your experience in the agri sector, what do you think is happening? How can the government have a hold around it? Because agri sector is the major sector that creates jobs for us as a people. What do you see happening here in terms of companies bringing in their people to take over the jobs in the agri sector?
Okay, so I think that's happened mostly in the construction sector. There were some allegations that some construction company go as far as bringing even prisoners from their country to come and work in Nigeria. Okay, so I don't think we are that scale yet in agriculture. Our agriculture is still rural driven, it's still smallholding driven. You would not in Nigeria probably find today a commercial farm. Okay, Dr. Peter has mentioned the fact that they are building a center in Paiko that could resemble a kind of agro-processing center. So I don't think that is happening yet in the agri sector. Okay, so what SAPZ is trying to do is okay, like I mentioned, some other people have done similar things as to what they are doing. Most importantly is for the farmers to be able to replicate whatever they are being taught, okay, to take them to the commercial level. Something like rice production, for example, now, it will occur to you that rice is not a commercial crop. Okay, so that's why you will never find today somebody who has 1,000 hectares. Okay, so once SAPZ will come in, we probably want to see how we can use smallholder farmer to produce. But again, there has been situation where farmers, maybe as at the time they do the baseline survey, we're probably doing like 0.5 hectares or 1 hectare. So they are now able to do 2 hectares, 3 hectares. Okay, so mostly they bring in their family household to support them in production. But again, we must move on to the level where once some of these projects come in, they should be able to teach the farmer on how to commercialize agriculture, which is very important. Yeah. So today, we are still running mostly rural kind of farming. And that's why when you see a small spike, then the price of food jump up. Okay, so you go to a place like Brazil, and I'm sure FCT, SAPZ, and some other of these zones have been to Brazil to see how commercial production is done in places like Brazil. In Nigeria today, you probably find a farmer doing, a good farmer will probably be doing 2 hectares and is praising himself. If you go to a place like Brazil, you have a small scale farmer doing 1,000 hectares, 2,000 hectares. Once it gets to that level, you will not be able to use manual labor. So you go to a place like Brazil now, they use drone to fly across their farm to, try to see where the crops are doing well, talking about precision agriculture. So we're hoping that SAPZ should be able to get to the point of precision agriculture. It should be able to get to the point where farmers can produce more from the little that they have, based on the knowledge that SAPZ is going to be sharing with them, just like other programs have done previously.
Yeah, Dr. Godfrey, I wanted to take you on the contribution, the expected contribution of this kind of program, because we are currently having a projection of food insecurity if care is not taken. But I want to hold you on that. Let me quickly go to Dr. Peter. So I'll come back to you to talk about the food security component of this program. But I want to go to Dr. Peter because you talked about precision agriculture. So Dr. Peter, I want to learn from you. How is this program contributing to bringing about innovation and the use of technology, technological innovation across our agri space? Can you share with us any example of any technological innovation that you have seen so far in the course of implementing this program?
Okay, yeah, the program is still at its, permit me to say, infant stage. The program did the baseline, right? Then they just did profiling of intended beneficiaries. So now implementation have not started proper. But I believe the program, as a part of its documents, has proposed to use technology. But just to also second what Dr. Godfrey has said, yes, precision agriculture key, but the implementers of this program should be able to design maybe a capacity building program for the farmers, right? Now, not just to use these technologies during the program, but that the farmers can on their own use it even after the program. There is a huge knowledge gap regarding this. What most of the program training program available for farmers now still talks to how to apply fertilizer, the plant space, and all. It's not really talking more to value addition. And though we have made progress, we are not where we used to be. But again, the pace of growth, permit me to say, is still slow compared to the funds that is being earmarked for some of these programs. So if I want to second what Dr. Godfrey has said, precision agriculture, yes, is key. So, and the farmers or the beneficiaries should be trained and also helped to, if possible, acquire these technologies either in group, right, and implement. But as the program is right now, they just profile beneficiaries, so they have not started doing the nitty-gritty. But there's a lot of component around infrastructure in the program, then around agricultural productivity and production around the program. Let's be optimistic that it will get there.
Wonderful. So
in addition to that, Mr. Sai.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
In addition to that, I will tell you that Nigeria is doing production. The moment the rain starts to fall, whether you like it or not, our grandfather, our great-grandfather, our fathers, they go to the farm. Okay? So, and the last time I visited Thailand to go and see the rice value chain, what I realized that in Thailand, the system of production is also different from what we're doing here. But the major difference I see is that in Nigeria today, when you talk about rice mills, for example, in Nigeria, we don't have more than 1,000, rice mills. But in Thailand, they have close to about 10,000 rice mills. And the government is come out clearly to support, to say we must be the highest processor and producer of rice in the world, even if we have to do it at a loss. So going forward, processing as a way of value is what we really need. Okay, so most times the farmers go, rains are about to start falling now, they will go to the farm naturally. But when they finish, you have a situation where they are unable to add value by way of processing. And processing does not have to be a big technology. It will come in small modules of technology. The most important thing, we should be able to add value by way of processing so that we can begin to take it from that. I mean, we took rice to the point where it's now more prestigious to eat Nigerian rice than to eat foreign rice, because they will probably tell you that foreign rice has stayed long in the warehouse. But when you have Nigerian rice, for example, it's sweet, it's fresh, and because of the fact that we pay attention to that. So we believe that the program, the SAPZ program, is going to focus on some commodities to be able to add value to them, to be of benefit to us at the end of the day.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Dr. Godfrey, Dr. Peter. So what you're saying...
to quickly add to that.
Yes.
Please, to quickly add to that. Just to second
no,
what
go ahead,
said.
Go ahead.
The Nigerian agricultural space, I want to say, from my own point of view, my little experience on the field, categorically, that is not necessarily a production problem, it's a processing and value addition problem. Because naturally, if you have these companies out there, we have these organizations out there that will take what farmers are producing, you don't need to encourage them, they will produce. They will normally go to, they will produce, and they will want to increase the land space they are going to use to produce, because they know that there's a market ready to pick whatever they are producing and will process it. So our problem in the space right now is necessarily a value addition problem, not production. If it's production, we always produce. We always, just that we lost a whole lot of it on transit, and before it eventually gets to the table at home, we've lost a whole lot of it.
So why is there this problem of processing? Is it that, especially with a program like the SAPZ, is it that there is a disconnect between the crops that are being promoted in these hubs versus the facilities or the infrastructure that we have in the country to be able to process these items? Or is it that it is due to lack of infrastructure? Why are we still having this processing problem in Nigeria?
Yeah, so if you want me to respond to that.
Okay, so take it from there.
Okay, so yeah, as far as your Ajaokuta steel is not working, there is no way you can get the processing right. China, at a point in time, had to close their economy to be able to, develop their steel sector. So processing is driven by machines. It's driven by iron technology. So today, our Ajaokuta has refused to work. And with that, as far as Ajaokuta is not working, if you are bringing technology from outside, they will tell you what to give to you and how to give it to you. When you look at local fabrication, you go to places like Kaduna and Kanu, our people are doing fabrication to be able to meet up. But again, are they able to mass produce? That is where the challenge is. Okay, so for us to get processing right, we must own the technology of processing, okay, milling, and some other technology for us to be able to do that. So the government must put its ass together to be able to get Ajaokuta to start running. And once Ajaokuta starts running very well, we'll now be able to produce the iron to be able to go into processing, to be able to process right. So that's why I feel most of the time now, most of the processings that you will get are mostly coming from China. And most times our people go, they don't get the best of technology. Okay, so once that does not happen, then we'll keep depending on foreign nations for our processed food. Okay,
Dr. Peter, you have a hands-on experience on this program, and that is I want you to intervene at this point. In terms of what are those crops and livestock, that are the focus of this program, and could there be opportunity for some, businesses in Nigeria that is not being noticed by, the entrepreneurs that are supposed to take advantage of this business? Or what is the gap that you see in terms of connecting entrepreneurs to the opportunities within this program, especially that it has to do with, taking advantage of the types of livestock and the crops that are being produced in these areas, and the infrastructure needed to process these items, these crops?
Okay, thank you. That's a whole lot of questions in one.
Yes.
But let me just quickly talk to the crops: maize, guinea corn, soya beans, groundnut, right? for this specific this region: maize, soya beans, groundnut, and guinea corn. Now, to talk to the value addition challenge, which is processing, for me, if I want to put it in just two subheadings, number one is buy Nigeria. Buy Nigeria. We have to do this. We have to put the country ahead of our personal goals. Buy Nigeria. If immediately we begin to prioritize buy Nigeria, industries will be encouraged to produce. Up to now, some people still prefer foreign rice. Though the local rice has really covered a whole lot of the market, but there are some people who are there, they still prefer foreign rice. I have some friends who will tell you foreign rice is the way, no matter what you preach to them, they still prefer. So one, buy Nigeria. It's just very important. Buy Nigeria in fabrication, because the people fabricating, yes, they are doing a lot. In Nigeria, yes, in Kaduna, they do within what's available to them, they do what they can. This may not be perfect, yes, but buy them and encourage them so they do more. Right? But if we keep importing these things from China, then you are bringing down the local fabrication industry. Then number two, the government should now be really, if they want to bring us out, to get us to a growth path, they have to come in with some huge money and invest in it. Yes, because the agricultural value chain is a big industry. And in the long run, if we get this right, everybody's going to benefit from it. Everybody, the economy, then there will be a little shift from oil, because there's a whole lot we are not maximizing as it is now, given the comparative advantage. We have 774 local government, and every local government has its own comparative advantage. Talking to the program part, in specifics, if I pick, for instance, rice, right? Let me pick maize, for instance, because maize is one of the commodity in the program. Gwagwalada, as it is, or Abuja, has a lot of land mass that they do maize, they do it naturally. They just plant and it just grows. And the beauty with Abuja is that you can plant maize twice a year. You can do both irrigation and you can do rain fed. It will grow and it will produce. You don't need nothing special. It will just grow. The soil is fertile. With your little fertilizer, it will grow. So now, what is stopping industries from coming to set up there may be processing mill, maybe a maize processing mill close to this place? We want to look at cost of production. Is our power stable? Right? So that's where the government need to come with their big money. Yeah. And they fix power? Because if these industries don't have incentives, subsidies could be directed towards that place. To give in advanced nations, some of these producers are giving subsidies. They give them what we encourage them to keep producing. The manufacturers get subsidies so that we move our attention from subsidizing what is not macroeconomic driven to industries that are macroeconomic driven. I don't want to cite examples in this particular scenario, but now industries needs to be given special funds, or more funds needs to be voted for them and help to stabilize. Then the cost of production, peak transportation. I tell you, the road to Paiko in question is not really good. It was fixed some years back, but right now you can't just drive. Paiko should not take you from the entrance of Gwala, which is SDP, should not take you 5-10 minutes, but it will take you 20 minutes thereabout, because the road is not really good. So this is where the government needs to come in. So as a farmer, there are no feeder roads to the farm. If we can't have tarred road to farms, there should be feeder roads where the farmer can easily access. And the farmers, imagine the farmer having 60 bags of rice. 60 bags of, I keep mentioning rice. I've done a lot of work on rice. 60 bags of maize. And he has to use...
I wanted to ask Dr. Peter, when was the last time you ate foreign rice?
Yes. And I wanted
personally,
I wanted to also ask him, because he was talking about the need for us to buy Niger. I wanted to ask him, he's on suit. Yeah. I hope that suit is a Niger suit.
Okay, let me talk to two. Number one, yes, I use Nigerian rice, yes. And of course, my boss is Dr. Godfrey has rice that we eat, so he's a big advocate of Nigerian rice, and he produces rice that we all eat. Yes, am I marketing him or your program? I think that's for free.
We'll send you the bill later.
All right. So now back to the issues. We really need farmers. Imagine having 60 bags of, let's say, 50 kg, and I have to use motorcycle people to go and be bringing two bags because it's not motorable. I have to use motorcycle to be bringing three or four bags. Now look at the cost of fuel now, right? So all this mop up to cost of production, and eventually it discourages the farmer if he does not get a ready industry that is ready to pick mop up at a market price that is profitable to the farmer. So, but the program now, given the commodities of interest and the little step they've taken for I know category, I think I've seen that. I was there to see the place they carved out for the grazing reserve. Yes, so I believe when they start implementation in full course, other infrastructures, power, and other things will come on board. And if this come on board, I believe it will be a step in the right direction going forward.
Thank you. So, Dr. Guffey, Dr. Peter talked essentially about the need for funding, to be deployed in that space. But I'm looking at specifically how can small businesses take advantage of this program in terms of the cost, the crops versus the processing plants, setting up a value chain approach to the business within this space. How can small businesses, smallholder farmers take advantage of this, and what sort of funding model, because knowing that you have also worked very well in terms of mobilizing funds for smallholder farmers, what best approach in terms of financing businesses within this value chain should the government begin to consider?
Okay, so your line was breaking, but let me see. Are you hearing me very well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. I can.
Okay. Out that you're looking at the funding aspect. The project in itself comes with its own funding. Okay? So for most of the things that Dr. Peter has described, the funding we take care from African Development Bank, from the National Fund for Agricultural Development, and from the Islamic Bank, we take care of the baseline work that they intend to do. So where most times you have issues are where the farmers are now trying to scale what they have learned from the project. So, and that's where financial inclusion comes in. And today, me and you, we agree that fundamentally there is still a problem of funding of our agricultural sector. Okay, so in the sense that farmer goes into the bank now to go and borrow money, they will be asking him for collateral. They will be asking for his great-grandfather that has probably died some years ago. So what most programs do is to try to see how they can, of course, form these farmers into cooperative societies. And once they're able to form them into cooperative society, the cooperatives should be able to, raise initial funding, which they can now use to as collateral to be able to get into some of these banks, commercial bank, microfinance institutions, and microfinance banks for them to be able to get funding for them to be able to scale. I will mention to you that today, still in Nigeria, there is still the big headache of how to fund our agriculture. And that's where the development banks comes in. Okay, in China, for most of their development aspects like agriculture, they will probably have a development bank for agriculture. You have a development bank for probably oil and gas. You probably have development bank for the industries. But today, you have agriculture in Nigeria that does not have a database of the farmers. And this is a major headache. Okay, so Peter has been able to, with the SAPZ in FCT now, done the profiling. So ideally, if we're able to get one single database that the bank have, then we ought to have just gone in to plug it there to know the number of farmers that are in FCT and the ones that intend to participate in this program. So it's not rocket science. The project should be able to work through group approach using cooperatives to be able to, raise money among themselves for them to be able to use as leverage to go to the banks to be able to borrow the huge money for them to scale up. So, like I mentioned, the program comes with its baseline funding for them to be able to do the basic thing that they are set out to do. We're looking at 1 billion into agriculture. Okay, so but now scaling, that's where the problem is, for the farmer to be able to go by themselves to the bank to go and borrow money to scale up what they have learned from the field.
Now, I want to come to Dr. Peter to highlight for us if there were, with his time working with the program, if there were any form of cooperative model approach to funding. But before I come to you, Dr. Peter, Dr. Godfrey, you mentioned that China, possibly, and of course, which is a reality, have banks for sectors like agriculture. I understand we have Agric Bank in Nigeria before now. In few seconds, we are running out of time. What is happening with the Agric Bank in Nigeria? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, Agric Bank started from People's Bank. Then you have Nigerian Agricultural Cooperative Bank that merged to become Nigerian Agricultural Cooperative and Rural Development Bank, NACRODB, that later now became Bank of Agriculture. Okay? So today, I think you need to get them on set to be able to come and explain themselves. But I don't think we are feeling them, and it's a major headache.
It's a major headache. Dr. Peter, did you see any form of cooperative approach during your time with the SAPZ program as we wrap up in 30 seconds?
Okay, yes, please. Yeah, the beneficiaries were profiled into two, right? We have the livestock farmers and those earn their major earnings from crop production. So we try to understand as many that already have been there in a cooperative, identify those cooperative, and of course, definitely they will be also regrouped and recategorized into cooperative for the purpose of funding and sustainability hereafter. Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, Dr. Godfrey and Dr. Peter, I'm so happy having you on the show. Please, we're going to call you back to look more into this sector and other sectors that are moving the markets across the Nigeria's economy. To you viewers, we thank you for joining us, and don't forget to follow our social media handles as we wrap the program here at this point. See you tomorrow for another impactful session. Until then, God bless you.
Thank you very much.